The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dilni Gunawardana, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The President proposes the establishment of an energy transmission law and a multi-agency committee to guide discussions and decisions-making on energy projects. Today is the seventh day of the debate on the second reading of the appropriation bill. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the budget is a futuristic one. Results of GC ordinary level examination will be released in the next few days. State Councillor for China Sen Yuqin says a courtesy call to the Speaker. Foreign news. Hamas leader says a truce deal is close. Sports news. Cricket. Under-19 World Cup 2024 is moved from Sri Lanka to South Africa. Local news in detail. In a landmark address at the Sri Lanka Green Hydrogen Symposium 2023, President Ranil Wickremesinghe outlined a comprehensive vision for Sri Lanka's role in addressing climate change, emphasizing sustainable practices and embracing cutting-edge green energy technologies. President Wickremesinghe opened his speech by drawing attention to the alarming findings of the UNF mission report for 2023. Expressing concern over the potential 3 degrees Celsius global temperature increase by the end of the century. He underscored the need for immediate global action, lamenting the unfulfilled emission reduction promises of developed nations. However, Sri Lanka aims to come down to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2030. Sri Lanka's commitment to the cause was a focal point in the President's discourse. He articulated 2 key objectives as advocating for the 1.5 degrees Celsius target at COP28 and showcasing the nation's commitment to the contributing significantly irrespective of its lower pollution levels compared to the more industrialized countries. The energy landscape took center stage in President Wickremesinghe's address, citing the UN Secretary-General's call for tripling renewable energy capacity by 2030. He positioned this as a pivotal opportunity for Sri Lanka to transform into a green energy exporter. The President especially highlighted the vast potential of solar and wind power in the country's expansion dry zones. The President also proposed the establishment of an energy transmission law and a multi-agency committee to guide decision-making, stressing the importance of taking a holistic view considering economic factors, price and long-term impact when deciding on energy projects. Today is the 7th day of the debate on the second reading of the Appropriation Bill 2024. Former President MP Mahinda Rajapaksa said that the budget presented by Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe was a futuristic one. He said that this is a good opportunity to move the economy forward optimistically. He assured that they will support the budget proposal that will work for the welfare of the public. State Minister of Finance Jan Singh said that the welfare benefit amount for the month of September will be credited to the bank accounts of the beneficiaries during this week. So far, 8,571 million rupees have been credited to the bank of 1,375,000 welfare beneficiaries. The payment for the months of October, November and December will be credited in December, and the applications for the next year will be called in December. There is no risk of a breakdown in economy. Minister Susan Premjayantha said that this year's budget has focused on the providing relief and social protection to the people. Government employee allowance are provided. Suraksha insurance will be restored in the education sector. School textbooks will be distributed by January. 16 billion rupees have been allocated for school lunches. It is planned to provide lunch to the entire primary school community next year. School uniforms will be provided. necessary steps have been taken to provide shoes to the children. Results of the GCE ordinary examination will be released in the next few days. A meeting between a delegation led by State Councillor of China, Honorable Zheng Yuqin, and Speaker Mahinda Abhabevardhana was held at the Parliament yesterday. The Speaker expressed his gratitude for the support provided for the Lankan economic development as well as all kinds of cooperation provided by China in Sri Lanka. Also, the Speaker said that the development activities being carried out in the country with the cooperation of China, including the Colombo port city, are being successfully implemented. The Speaker stated that he hopes to further strengthen the bilateral relations between the two countries. State Councillor Chen Yuqin stated that the Chinese government is eager to provide the necessary financial support for the emergency humanitarian assistance, including the provision of uniforms for the school children of Sri Lanka. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, a special discussion on the issues faced by the indigenous community was held at the Parliament today. This was headed by Minister Vijayadas Rajapaksa. The head of the community explained the issues faced by them. Although discussions have been held in this regard, so no solutions has been given yet. The minister said that a committee will be appointed to prepare a set of regulations to safeguard the legacy and traditions of the community. The Sectoral Oversight Committee on Open and Accountable Government has appointed a subcommittee to prepare a guideline proposal to make the public service in Sri Lanka an efficient and friendly service. This parliamentary subcommittee, chaired by Honorable Udayana Kirindigoda, is consistent of 14 members of parliamentarians. When the relevant subcommittee met in Parliament recently, this matter was discussed at length and the appointment expert committee was called before the committee to get expert opinions. Basic ideas and suggestions were presented there on the preparation of the guideline proposal to make the public service in Sri Lanka an efficient and friendly service. The subcommittee chair presented to the expert committee the proposals to make the public service in Sri Lanka an efficient and friendly service by various government institutions and non-governmental organizations that were called to a sectoral monitoring committee on open and responsible government in the past. Taking such suggestions into account, the expert committee agreed to prepare and finalize the relevant proposal within this year. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
Minister Dr. Bandala Gunawardena says that the country cannot be developed without the debt restructuring process. The government has implemented a regular procedure in this regard. Accordingly, the second tranche of the IMF bailout will be released during this year. The minister expressed these views at the meeting held to inform the media on the cabinet decisions. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
Moving on to Watchlight, Nuwara District Secretary Nandana Galabada says that the devotees who visit to Sripada area should determine to keep the place clean. The government has to spend a large sum of money to remove the polythene and the plastic materials released to the environment by the devotees. 2 million rupees has been spent annually in this regard. The Sripada pilgrimage season begins from this Poya, which falls on the 26th of this month. That came to you on Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Hamas leader says a truce deal is close. Indian workers trapped in tunnel are seen on camera. Brazil records its hottest ever temperature. World news in detail. The leader of Hamas says they are close to reaching a truce agreement with Israel, raising hopes of a pause in hostilities in Gaza that could see hostages freed. Israel has not commented. According to AFP and Al Jazeera, a deal could see Hamas returning hostages in exchange for Israel's release of jailed Palestinians. U.S. President Joe Biden on Monday said he believed a deal was close. The International Committee of the Red Cross, which helped facilitate previous deals, has been meeting Hamas leaders in Qatar, raising future hopes. Meanwhile, fighting continues to rage in Gaza, with the Israeli military saying it has surrendered the city of Jabalia in the north. The first images of 41 men trapped for 10 days in highway tunnel in the Indian Himalayas have emerged, showing them standing in a confined space and communicating with the rescue workers. A 30-second video provided by authorities today showed about a dozen of the trapped men standing in a semicircle in front of the endoscopic camera, wearing helmets and construction worker jackets over their clothes against the backdrop of the lights in the tunnel. Brazil has recorded its hottest ever temperature, 44.8 Celsius, as part of the country endure a stifling heat wave. The record has hit on Sunday in the town of Araquari. The government agency said Araquari's high of 44.8 Celsius had beaten the country's previous record of 44.7 Celsius, measured in 2005. The heat has been red alerts issued across the country a month before the beginning of summer in the southern hemisphere. The unprecedented weather has been attributed to the El Niño phenomenon and climate change. Forecaster says some of the heat is likely to ease this week. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Hamas leader says a truce deal is close. Indian workers trapped in tunnel are seen on camera. Brazil records its hottest ever temperature. That ends world news.
Development news. Maxter, the world's largest digital newsstand, will revolutionize the airport passenger experience in Sri Lanka, as Bandaranaike International Airport and Jaffna International Airport have joined to become the first smart reading airports in South Asia. This is by offering passengers a cutting-edge, fully contactless and paperless digital reading experience of their favorite magazines and newspapers while they are at the airport. This will enable passengers to access a diverse collection of over 8,000 leading magazines, newspapers, journals, and comics for free while they are in the airport. That ends development news.
Moving on with sports news.
The International Cricket Council has moved the Under-19 World Cup to South Africa from Sri Lanka. The decision has been taken by the ICC board on view of the administrative uncertainty in Sri Lanka cricket. The ICC is currently meeting in Ahmedabad. That ends sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The pellet and granular fertilizer manufacturing facility of EcoProtect Engineering Private Limited, located in Oyamadu, Anuradhapura, was opened recently. EcoProtect Engineering Private Limited is part of the Multi-Chemi group of companies which is already engaged in the manufacture and distribution of biofertilizers and blended chemical fertilizers. This newly opened modern
manufacturing facility is capable of manufacturing over 10,000 metric tons of organic, hybrid and NPK chemical pellet and granular fertilizers annually. That ends business news.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce has announced the inauguration of the Sri Lanka-Bangladesh Business Council, the 21st bilateral trade council established by the Chamber. The chief guest at the event and the patron of the council, the High Commissioner of Bangladesh to Sri Lanka, Tariq Ariful Islam, hailed the launch of the council, expressing enthusiasm for its mandate to promote business, trade and investment between the two neighboring countries. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
Fairly heavy showers above 75 mm are likely at some places in the western, Samragama, central, Uva and northern provinces and in the Trincomalee district. Heavy showers about 100 mm are likely at some places in the central, Samragama, northwestern, north central and Uva provinces tomorrow. Showers may occur at some places in the northern and eastern provinces during the morning. That ends the weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The President proposes the establishment of an energy transition law and a multi-agency committee to guide decisions-making on energy projects. Today is the 7th day of the debate on the second reading of the appropriation bill. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the budget is a futuristic one. Results of the GCE ordinary examination will be released in the next few days. State Councillor of China Shin Yu-kin says a courtesy call to the Speaker. Foreign news, Hamas leader says a truce deal is close. Sports news, cricket. Under-19 World Cup 2024 is moved from Sri Lanka to South Africa. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my good friend and yours, Chandima Birako.